Welcome, namaste. Welcome to Flow and Restore Yoga, ending in 5 minutes of sitting in meditation. My name is Michelle Chua, and for today's practice, you'll want to have 2 blocks, a strap, a blanket, and a bolster. Let's begin in Hero's Pose if that is appropriate for your body, and that entails setting the knees in front of you, no wider than hips distance, and either sitting directly on your heels or placing a prop such as a block in between your ankles to sit on. Try to make sure that your feet are neither turned out or in. That just helps to safely align your knees. Take a moment to evenly ground through your 2 sitting bones. Sit up tall as you lengthen through the back of your skull. Let the shoulders soften down, arriving mentally and physically in your practice of yoga. So what does it personally mean for you to fill your cup so that you give from the overflow? You might often hear that saying, fill your cup and give from the overflow. As the fall and winter holidays approach, we might easily get caught in the momentum of hosting gatherings and giving gifts. How do we be proactive about sincerely and authentically nurturing ourselves, especially before we meet in those large gatherings, if that's something you're going to do, so that we're not coming from a place of lack, or rather, we're coming from wholeheartedness. We're coming from a pure willingness to share our energy with others. Otherwise, it all starts to become a performance, and after a while, it can easily breed resentment. Yesterday, I just came back from Ojai facilitating our women's retreat, which was part of the day. And it was amazing to see the transformation in just a few hours of gathering together, from setting our intentions of, things that needed healing or ways that we didn't feel that we were nurturing ourselves, to, at the end, so much joy and sense of true fulfillment. And while that's a whole retreat of several hours to get into that, how can we do things little by little every day so that we don't accumulate a sense of void, so that we are replenishing continuously? So, food for thought, one of the ways is by showing up to your practice. So let's begin with that. Pay attention to your body now. Notice whatever sensations you're feeling physically. Is there anything your body is asking of you or wanting you to know in this moment? Part of authentic self-care is practicing deep listening to our bodies. Now begin to observe your breath without changing or controlling it. How do you feel energetically right now? And meeting yourself there, which means if you're feeling kind of sluggish or tired, though we begin with vinyasa flow, maybe you take lots of moments to rest, or take it extra slow and then accumulate some energy to move to the other side of the spectrum a bit. Or vice versa, if you're coming really busy minded with a lot of energy, a lot of fire right now, maybe you sweat it out and go very rhythmically and more rigorously, and so that you start to move towards the other end of the scale, slowing things down. Now tune into your mind. How are you feeling mentally? Tune into your heart. How are you feeling emotionally? allowing whatever's there to just be there, not having to change or fix anything right now, but just sincerely listening to your heart. What might it be asking you to hold space for? And what does it mean to hold space for that, for you? The simple beginning of our yoga practice where we're checking in with these different layers of our being can be done in just a few minutes. And that in itself, we can do throughout the day as a practice of authentic self-care. And start to deepen the breath as you root down into the surface below the body. Breathe in a little bit deeper through your nose. Opening the mouth to exhale. Rising taller to your crown. Again, inhaling a little bit fuller, feeling your rib cage expand on all four walls. As you exhale through the mouth, feeling your belly relax inward towards your spine. Again, inhaling even slower but gently. Exhaling slowly. So in this moment, I invite you to recognize something that you appreciate. Anything that you can sincerely feel gratitude for. One way to help purify the mind, especially for feeling overwhelmed by negative thoughts, is to think of something you're grateful for. And then now, from that lens, that more open mind, clarify what you would like to cultivate through your practice today. Saying it out loud or mentally, set your intention or personal prayer. And then from that place of filling our cup, to whom would you like to especially allow it to overflow? Maybe set your dedication to someone or something. And together, let's chant with the dogs 3 ohms to begin our practice. Deep breath in. With slow, even breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the nose, lips closed, let's invite a feeling of balance energetically, as well as calm and focus, practicing Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breath. So as you do that, see if you can create a very gentle whispering sound in the breath, right at the back of your throat, by softly narrowing the back of the throat. As you listen to a few cycles while sitting still, fine-tune a smooth and gentle quality to the sound of your breath that you can listen to as a way to meditate while moving your body to the breath. So moving meditation, let's make our way into standing forward fold at the top of your mat. We're going to be focusing on bringing the hips into flexion. So you might want to have 2 blocks in front of your feet like this. Separate your feet at least your hips distance apart and make sure they're parallel to each other, not turned out. Bend your knees so much that as you tilt your weight as far forward as you can balance, you're able to rest your belly on your thighs. And then decide what to do with your arms. See what your body needs right now. Do you need to open up the fronts of the shoulders? You could clasp the hands behind your back and stretch the arms forward. Do you want to just move the spine a bit? You can have the arms hang freely or hold opposite elbows as you sway the spine. How does your neck feel? Is it holding tension right now? You might gently shake your head no several times to help loosen up the neck. And then nod your head yes several times. How does your jaw feel? Does it need some movement to release tension? If so, you could take a big sigh, stretching the mouth wide, maybe sticking out the tongue, which is lion's breath. You could also flutter your lips a few times. And if you're holding opposite elbows, maybe switch the elbow on top as you drop your skull and help to relax your neck. See if you can float your shoulder heads up away from the neck, creating more space there. And then shifting the weight forward, knees still bent as much as you need so that you're not straining any part of the back of your body, like your hamstrings and lower back. Let's press the fingertips either onto your shins or thighs, blocks, or the floor, whatever you can reach comfortably and press firmly into. Inhale, lengthen the top of your head forward, creating the feeling of a flat back as you engage the abdomen. Exhale, bow towards your legs. Let's try that a couple more times. Press with your hands again. Inhale, lengthen forward, slide the shoulders back, but draw your chest forward. Exhale, hinge from your hips. One more half forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana in Sanskrit. Exhale, Uttanasana. And this time, bend the knees a lot more. Drop the arms, drop the head. And as you breathe in, slowly roll your spine upright, as if stacking one vertebra at a time, lifting your head last. And when you finally lift the crown of the head, circle your shoulders behind you and down. Lengthen your tailbone towards the ground between your heels, slightly drawing in the navel. Join your hands in prayer at your heart and reconnect to your intention for this practice. Let's begin to move to the breath in half sun salutations, Ardha Surya Namaskar, offering gratitude to the sun. As you breathe in, sweep your arms overhead and gently roll your shoulders back. Look up. As you breathe out, bowing from the hips, try to create a flat back, feeling if you need bend the knees to do that. Press your hands on your legs, blocks or the floor. Inhale, lengthen to half forward fold. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly rise, sweeping the arms forward. As you arrive at the top, tilt your chest up, drop your shoulders back, a little back bend. Exhale, bring your palms together and trace them down your midline to your heart center. Twice more, half sun salutations. Inhale, arms overhead in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge from your hips in Uttanasana. Inhale, press with your hands and lengthen to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, rise all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Coiling your chest up. Exhale, join your hands in prayer at your heart center, Padasana. Last one, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise slowly, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands together, Padasana. Let's move into sun salutation C, Surya Namaskar C. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana again. Exhale, Uttanasana again. This time, plant your fingertips on the ground or your blocks outside of your heels. Inhale, step your left knee behind you on the ground. Look up, kneeling lunge. As you hold your breath, step into plank pose. Exhaling, lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin, firm in the belly, hug the elbows towards your ribs. Inhale, slither forward onto your belly and coil your chest up, cobra. Exhale, tuck your toes and press up, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb, lower your right knee and gaze up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Press to your feet, inhale, rise to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, join your hands in Padasana. One more time, second side. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Plant your fingertips down. Inhale, step right knee back this time. Kneeling lunge, look up. Hold your breath as you step to plank. Ashtangasana, exhale, lower knees, chest, then chin. Inhale, cobra, also called Bhujangasana. Exhale, downward dog or Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, step right foot beside right thumb. Left knee down, look up. Exhale, step left foot forward and bow. Inhale, slowly rise, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands together, Padasana. Moving into sun salutation A. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. How's your breathing? Exhale, Uttanasana. Long, even breaths through the nose. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. This time, step into plank, either legs straight or knees on the ground. As you firm in the belly, exhale, shift forward and lower halfway to Chaturanga. Hug the elbows to your ribs. Then either lower all the way for Cobra or flip the toes here and draw the shoulders back to upward facing dog. Exhale, lift the hips to downward facing dog. Allow a few breaths to gently pedal your feet in place. You might also add swiveling your hips side to side, helping to warm up the backs of your legs like your hamstrings, your calves. Let your head fall freely so you're relaxing your neck. A few more deep breaths here. Sense your energy right now. Are you starting to get warmer? I am. And then find stillness for a couple more breaths in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Steady your gaze, your drishti on one spot. When you've emptied this exhale, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat into a standing forward fold. Inhale, press with your hands, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Let's move into one round of Surya Namaskar B. Bringing the feet together so the inner edges of your big toes touch. Continue to listen to your breath. Bend your knees together to touch. Inhale, sit low, back towards your heels in chair pose, Utkatasana. Then exhale, shift forward and hinge from your hips, Uttanasana. Press with your hands, inhale, lengthen forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Step into plank and lower through Chaturanga or lightly jump to Chaturanga. Continue through your vinyasa, cobra or upward dog, into downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your right leg behind you. Exhale, step the foot gently beside your right thumb, spin the left heel down. As you face forward, inhale, rise to stand in Warrior One. Exhale, lower all the way down into your vinyasa. If you need to conserve your energy, come down to your knees. You can also take cat-cow in place of going into plank. When you arrive at downward facing dog, inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale, step the foot lightly beside your left thumb and spin your right heel down. Inhale, rise into Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower, moving through your own version of your vinyasa. As you arrive in downward dog again, pause, recenter your gaze, slow down and rebalance your breath, thus help to rebalance your energy for 3 more cycles of breath. Draw your hips up and back, seal the belly in, wrap your triceps towards the ground and relax your neck, lift the shoulders back. When you've emptied the third exhale, walk or float lightly to the top of your mat. Uttanasana, feet together. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale again, fold. With knees together, inhale, sit back into chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, rise up, Padasana. And maybe place a hand at your heart center, a hand at your lower belly. Pause as you tune in to 3 slow breaths. Notice how you're feeling in your body right now. So embedded in the sun salutations, as you have just experienced, are quite a few forward folds, and that's bringing the hips into flexion. Let's end our vinyasa flow portion of this practice with one more forward fold series, which is pyramid pose. So let's step the feet apart, hips distance, keep your hips facing forward, and then step your left foot back 2/3 as far back as you did in this pose earlier, warrior one. So shorter stance than that, where you can evenly ground your entire feet, keep your legs straight, and keep your hips evenly facing forward, where it doesn't feel like you're standing on a tightrope. You have enough space sideways between the feet. And then from there, firm these muscles, your quadriceps, the front muscles of your thighs, without locking your knees. Feel the support of your legs. Really spread the toes, press down through the feet, energize the legs, energize the abdomen. Now let's open up the chest. Bring the arms behind your back and choose to either press fist to fist against each other or go further, hold opposite forearms or opposite elbows, or bring the palms together in reverse prayer, fingertips sliding up towards between your shoulder blades. Now seal in the bottom of your front ribs and inhale, lift your chest, look up. Exhale from the hips, hinge forward just a little bit of your range, then pause. As you inhale from down through the feet, keep energizing the legs, lengthen your spine, keep the hips leveled, and then exhale, fold another little bit of your range. Continue for another 3 breaths, just finding the range where you can still breathe fully and evenly. Throat is open, chin is not tucked to the chest, and shoulders are relaxed away from the neck. Pyramid pose. And press down through your feet and inhale, slowly rise. Release the arms, shake out the hands, step the left foot forward. And just spend a couple of breaths noticing how you feel on one side of your hamstrings, back muscle of the thigh, other side of the hamstrings, or even the lower back. Now let's step the right foot back 2/3 as far as warrior one. Hips squared, legs straight. Firm the front muscle of the thighs, the quadriceps. Bring the arms behind your back. Fist to fist. Hold opposite forearms, the other forearm on top or other elbow on top, or reverse prayer. Seal in the bottom of your front ribs and inhale, tilt your chest towards the sky. Exhale, lead with your chest so it's slightly lifted as you bow a little bit from the hips. Pause where you are, from down to your feet, and lengthen your spine from your pelvis. Exhale, hinge forward another little bit. Continue for 3 more breaths. So as you're keeping your hips equally facing forward, by slightly tacking the left hip back, as it may tend to reach forward further, you're cultivating balance and length between the left and right sides of your torso. So the Sanskrit name for this posture is Parsvottanasana. Press down through your feet and inhale, slowly rise. Shake out the arms, shake out the hands, and let's make our way down to hands and knees, tabletop pose. Going to enter a gentle movement as we transition to the yin portion of our class, where we're slowing things down and inviting more periods of stillness. So let's give the wrists a stretch here, beginning with making fists with your hands, connecting your fists, give yourself a fist bump, and keeping them connected, place the backs of your fists about a foot in front of your knees on the ground so that your elbows are bent off the ground, flaring apart. Then slowly lean forward and just notice how this feels so you can adjust how much intensity. The more intensity, the more you're leaning forward. You feel in your outer wrists and forearms. Now check in with your shoulders. Are they relaxed? Are they cringing? Check in with your neck. Is it soft or is it tensing? Check in with your facial muscles, especially your jaw, your eyes. 3 more deep breaths. As you lean back towards your legs again, release your arms and just circle your hands at your wrists a few times in both directions. Breathing gently, audibly still. Now let's do the other side of the wrists. So plant your palms face down so your shoulders are stacked above the wrists, and spin out your hands. So to whatever degree, pointing your fingertips out to the left and right or rear edge of the mat. Have your knees a couple inches behind the hips here. So if you choose, you can also move the spine slowly in cat-cow, where you breathe in as you glide your chest forward and coil it up. As you breathe out, contracting your belly, doming your back, drop the head. Inhale the chest forward, roll the shoulders behind you and down. Exhale, lift the navel towards your spine, tuck the tailbone down, and drop your head. And if you're not moving and you want to deepen the stretch here in your inner forearms and inner wrists, you might see how it feels to bend the elbows towards you. Whatever you're doing, notice again your neck, your shoulders. Are they at ease? Notice the muscles in your face. Relax the skin on your forehead. Let's give it a couple more deep breaths here. And then once again, lean back towards your legs. Inhale your arms forward. Relax the elbows like you're painting with your fingertips in front of you. Exhale the arms down. Inhale the arms forward and up. Relax the elbows. Exhale forward and down. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale forward and down. All right. Let's come on down to our bellies. Since we've been flexing the hip flexors quite a bit, bring them into contraction. Let's bring them into extension. So start in Sphinx pose. Place your elbows on the floor, right under your shoulders, lifting your chest. Slide your knees as close together as you comfortably can. Draw your shoulder heads back and lengthen the back of the neck. And just pause here for a few breaths. So as you're lifting the chest while pressing the palms downward, you might already start to feel, besides stretching your belly, stretching the fronts of your hips, your hip flexors. Spread your toes and try to feel every toenail pressing down into the ground, so that as you firm down through the tops of your feet, your kneecaps are no longer touching the floor, yet your pelvis is. This is a way to help stabilize your lower back when we're practicing back bends like Sphinx pose and Cobra. So let's tune into another 5 deep breaths in Sphinx pose. Can you allow your collarbones to splay wider apart while softening the tops of your shoulders down? Tilting your gaze slightly down ahead of your thumbs so you're not feeling like you're tensing your neck. What are your hip flexors speaking to you in this moment? What sensations are you feeling there at the fronts of your hips right now? And let's cross the left forearm on the ground in front of your chest. Bend your right knee, backstroke your right arm, and hold the inner side, the big toe side, not the pinky toe side, of your right ankle or foot. Now make sure your knees are not wider apart than your hips distance. This is to help stabilize the lower back. Press down into the ground with both frontal hip bones and use the support of the left forearm that's pressing the floor to turn your chest completely to face forward. Relax the shoulders back. Tune into 7 more breaths as you're bringing the right heel gently, slightly towards your outer right hip. If it's available, without causing strain, you could spin the right palm at the wrist so the fingertips are pointing at the front edge of your mat like this. Are you feeling this posture happening more in your right hip flexor or your right quadricep or your inner right shoulder or elsewhere? Just notice where you're feeling what. Then release your right leg, place both forearms on the ground again, and come back to Sphinx while you slide your knees closer together. Press the tops of your feet firmly down and lengthen your sternum, which is the center between your collarbones, forward, like there's a string pulling it towards your front wall. And while you're lengthening your sternum forward, lengthen your tailbone back towards your inner heels, like there's a string pulling it towards the back edge of your mat. What does it feel like to actively, internally lengthen in both directions like this? A few more deep breaths. How does that affect the alignment or the feeling of spaciousness throughout your spine? It's a very subtle action that if you're not used to paying attention to the more subtle internal actions within the yoga practice can take extra effort to feel or be aware of. Now let's cross the right forearm in front of your chest. With the knees close together, bend your left knee. Backstroke your left arm and catch hold of the inner side of your left ankle or foot. Press the ground with both frontal hip bones and turn your chest completely to face forward. Use the right arm to help you. Draw the shoulders back. Gently bring your left heel slightly to the outside of your left hip. About 7 deep breaths here. Now, where are you feeling this pose most on this side? Is it your left hip flexor, your left quadricep? While you don't have to name it, can you go there? Be in that part of your body and breathe into that space. using your imagination. Maybe spin the left hand at the wrist if that's available without straining. And then release your left leg. And let's slide into child's pose. Rest your forehead down on the floor or on a block or pillow. And you may like to just let the arms drape down by your outer thighs. Let the shoulders naturally round a little, since we are doing the opposite in the Sphinx pose. Try to exert little to zero effort in your body right now, as you just let it sink into the ground. Notice how that feels to just let your body sink with a pull of gravity. Sense the very end of the next exhalation before you crawl your fingertips slowly to the ground beside your knees and gently roll your spine upright, sliding your legs out in front of you. We're not quite finished with our hips and flexion. We're just giving that flexion a little break. Let's bring a few more forward folds and then we'll come into one more hips extension. So grab your strap, just have it off to the side just in case. And first just test out how your spine feels when you're sitting with the legs in front of you. Does your spine tend to round like this? If so, find something such as a folded blanket or your pillow and make it as thick as you need to elevate your pelvis on top of, so that you can pull up the frontal hip bones a little and draw in the navel and sit up a little taller so the lower back doesn't feel stressed out. And then whatever you're using or not using, separate your feet hips width apart and flex your feet. We're going to prepare for Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So let's use a strap, and then if you find that you don't need it, then you can let go of it. But let's all start using one. So place the strap around the balls of your feet and press the balls of your feet into the strap while you're curling your toes back. Now, pull the strap as you give yourself enough slack where you can really sit up tall and let your shoulder head slightly draw back. So you're lifting your chest. You're sealing in the bottom of your front ribs. The belly is slightly engaged, drawing in, lifting up. Your sitting bones are pressing down actively, and your feet are flexed while pushing into the strap. So you feel this tension between your feet and your hands pulling the strap in opposite directions. You want to maintain that tension without having to add unnecessary ones like this, where you roll your hands into the strap. That starts to create too much aggression in the pose, right? Too much yang energy. So just give yourself enough and just have a little thumb and index finger pulling. Feel how that energy is to just pull lightly like that. And then relax the shoulders, lift the chest, feel the space between your chin and your chest. Feel that natural space at your throat. Let's take 2 deep breaths here. Just feel the breath move through the nose, through the throat, through the tops of the lungs, all the way down to the pit of the belly. And exiting. Can you feel that easefulness in your breath? Now try to keep that easefulness as you begin to fold forward. Anytime that easefulness becomes limited, take a step back. Don't fold as far. See if you can find the same easefulness. Use that breath quality as a gauge to know how far you need to fold. So shoulders relax, sit up tall, press the sitting bones down, breathe in, imagine the back of the skull floating up. And now as you exhale, hinge forward just a little bit. We're going to be doing this for 10 breaths. You've got a long time to give yourself. Inhale, press the pelvis down, stretch the spine from the pelvis diagonally forward. Engage the belly slightly. In an exhale, hinge forward another little bit. How's the quality of your breath? Do you need to be just here? Maybe you don't need to go any further. Inhale, press the pelvis down, lengthen the spine where it is, draw the shoulder blades down the back. Stay here or exhale, continue to fold. Remember, it's not a contest. It's not a competition to see whose nose touches their big toes first. It's yoga. How are you taking care of yourself authentically? Now, if you find that your hands can easily touch your feet here, you could use your index and middle fingers to clasp your big toes, bend the elbows apart, slide the shoulder blades down, and then find a little lift in your chest, whether you're holding the strap or holding your toes. Can you imagine there's a string connected to your sternum and it's being pulled lovingly towards your front wall? So the heart is slightly lifted, the belly is firming in to support the low back. The feet are flexed, supporting the hamstrings. Tune into about 4 or 5 more deep breaths. Notice the quality of your breath and how it's always letting you know how far or how much you need to step back in a pose. Your breath is your truthful friend. Press down to your pelvis, firm in your belly. Start to float the chest up. Inhale, slowly lift your spine upright and release your hands. Let's point the toes for a moment and maybe circle out your feet. Just give your ankles a rest from all that flexing. Breathe in, still aware of your breath. Breathe out, switch the circles. You're going to take one more hips in flexion. So take your your block, not your strap, your block, and come on down to your back. So as you lie flat on your back, bend your knees, step your feet on the ground, and then lift your pelvis, slide the block wide across your sacrum. So it's under the flat part of your lower back. And make sure that it's in a comfortable spot where you can just rest your weight on it and feel stable. Once you have that, raise your legs up. Your legs don't have to be completely straight, just comfortably straight. Bring the feet together. What can help to feel grounded or groundedness is to rest the palms face down on your abdomen. We won't be here too long, just about 10 breaths. Let's breathe into the belly here. This posture helps to promote digestion as it promotes the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest response. That and circulation. So let's enhance that a bit more by breathing into the belly. So focus on inhaling, letting the belly gently expand so it's receiving the breath. Exhale, relax the belly down towards the spine. Try to do it gently, not forcefully. Inhale, the belly fills up like a balloon. Exhale, softening the belly. Keep going. And for the last few breaths here, see if we can let the exhales last a little longer than the inhales. And then gently step your feet onto the ground. Here's our hips in extension. Straighten both legs forward and try to keep your knees no wider than hips width apart. Press the insteps, the big toe sides of your feet forward to prevent turning out the legs. Spin your inner thighs slightly towards the floor while keeping your feet parallel to each other. And then it might feel relaxing to raise the arms overhead. You might even interlace the fingers and flip the palms inside out, pressing the heels of your palms towards your rear wall while sliding your shoulder blades down your back. Notice if your front ribs really pop up towards the ceiling like mine. If so, protect your lower back so it's not overarching here. Seal in the bottom of your front ribs. Seal it down towards your pubic bone. And imagine your tailbone lengthening towards your inner heels as you're pressing the insteps of your feet forward. About 7 more deep breaths here. If you're not feeling much of a stretch in your hip flexors, you could tilt the block to the second height up like this. Remember not to turn out the thighs here. Keep your legs parallel or your feet parallel to each other. Because turning out the thighs can start to shorten and compress the lower back. One more deep breath. Breathe into wherever your body is speaking the most. Really try to relax the area as you breathe out. Now let's set the feet on the ground so that we can remove the block from underneath. As you lower your pelvis to the ground, draw your bent knees into your chest. It might feel soothing to rock sideways or forward and back. Any kind of gentle movement that your body might be needing right now. Allow a few breaths for that. Since we didn't focus so much on turning out the thighs, you might enjoy a happy baby right now just to find a little balance in the body. Then gather your knees into your chest, squeeze into a big hug, maybe lift the head and shoulders, close the eyes, gather in a deep breath, hold it in, sip in a little more air if you can, maybe squeeze a little tighter, opening the mouth to exhale, stretch your arms and legs onto the floor, entering corpse pose. Now, if you're wanting some lower back support, you could place a pillow right underneath the backs of your knees like this, across your mat. If you're wanting grounding support, you could place a folded blanket so that it's heavier than an open blanket on your pelvis and belly like this. And maybe something to cover the eyes if you have something. Close your eyes. Now feel the difference where you're letting go of controlling your breath, just letting it flow freely, letting go of action, just surrendering into stillness. Notice what you are aware of within these few minutes of stillness. Shavasana. Resting a little longer with your eyes closed, notice how your physical body feels. I invite you to ask your body how it wants to begin moving to wake up. Take your time as you listen to that and respond. Being gentle with yourself. Start to turn over onto your right side, resting your head there. Pause for a few moments, observing your breath. What does it have to say about your energy right now? Take your time lifting your body up. Please find a comfortable way to sit for 5 minutes in meditation. Sitting tall, grounded, and relaxed. You might place your hands in a mudra that cultivates even-mindedness, stacking your palms face up on the center of your lap like this, and letting your thumb tips gently touch. You might also close your eyes or steady a gentle gaze downcast. Let's begin our meditation. As you let your breath naturally flow, you may find it helpful to focus and be present by resting your awareness gently on the breath. Wherever in your body, you can steadily feel the breath. And anytime you find your attention wandering out of the present moment, like into the past or future, remind yourself to come back to the breath. Your breath as your truthful friend. It may take multiple times of remembering to come back to the breath. Be kind with yourself and persistent about it. Notice how you're feeling in your mind, in your heart. Are there any emotions present? And then I bring you back to the practice of gratitude as we close. Mentally or out loud, naming something you feel appreciation for. And then remind yourself of your intention for this practice. Remember to whom or what you're sharing your overflow from filling your cup. And to close, let's join our voices chanting 3 ohms. Deep breath in. Bowing in, acknowledging the light within. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.